do the Impressionism project, and this is making the assumption that you've already done the preliminary work, which is on class jump. So today what you'll do is watch this video. You can either do it along with the video, or you can watch the video and then do it on your own. And then you can keep the video as reference, turn the video on and off, or pause so that you can catch up with it. So there's a lot of information here, and I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible. First of all, I'm going to show you some previous examples of this assignment. And this assignment, I just have all of these in a folder, so some of these are not going to be the best examples. But basically what you want to do is you're going to take a photo, a brightly colored photo, of something that has been done, a photo that's been outdoors, a natural environment. It's not going to be like a street scene in the middle of New York. It's going to be gardens or waterfalls or trees or things that are natural, like the original Impressionists like to do. So I'm going to whip through these really quick and say, oh, these are good, these are bad. This particular one, you have to be able to tell what's in the picture. So if you did not know that this was the Royal Stadium, would you have been able to figure this out? So you have to make an assumption that the viewer is not going to be a person from Woodbury High School that might have seen this scene a few times. So you have to make sure that you do it in a way that you can still tell these are certain kind of flowers, or this is the sky, these are clouds, and that type of thing. The other thing about this one is they didn't do the sky. You have to do every single part of the entire picture. There's a special tool that you're going to use called the Impressionist brush. And the Impressionist brush will do a lot of the work for you, but you have to figure out what settings are going to be best for your picture. So this one looks pretty good as far as the Impressionists good. It still looks like the sunset on the water, yet it's not a perfect photo. This one looks blurry. Now the reason why some of these look blurry is because when you go to use your brush tool and you pick out your brush, the type of brush you're going to use, there's some that have fuzzy edges, which are called, some kids call them the blurry edges or the wet brush look, and then some, or a soft look. And then some will have, they say it's got a hard look to it, which means it's like, doesn't have any fuzziness to it at all. And I'm going to show you those tools in the program. But this one, they used the fuzzy edge tool, so that means the whole picture turns out blurry, which you don't want. This one also, they used a fuzzy edge, and you should not have. This one looks like it's in the wrong folder. This is a flower painting. If you look really close at some parts of this one, you'll see easily that they missed doing some things. So if I were to zoom in, on different parts, you can kind of see, like these are all kind of pixelated. You kind of see that it was done, but then it looks like you go to the top part here, and you can see spots that aren't done. This isn't done, this isn't done. A lot of the sky, I don't know if you can see all this little pixelation in here. That means that that wasn't done as well. So you have to make sure that you zoom in and look and see what you've done or what you haven't done, and you'll be able to tell on your own particular picture. But there's all kinds of little spots in here that we can see that aren't done. So you want to make sure that you take the zoom in tool and you look at it, and you'll be able to tell. Everything kind of looks uniform, and then all of a sudden you'll see a pixel that just kind of shouts out at you. It's this whole section right here that didn't get done. So that's what you're going to want to do with your pictures as you're doing them, so that you make sure you cover the whole area with the pixelation, with the Impressionist tool. Okay, so here you'll see this is done really well. This almost looks like an Impressionist painting, the way they did this. And so you see that they used a different brush size down here. It's a little bit smaller than what they used up here. So this project can go a couple of different ways. You're going to have some choices. You're going to do two different things here. One, you can choose from 3 projects, and you're going to pick 2. So one of them is to use the same brush size over your entire picture, and that takes very little time. The second one is to use different brush sizes for the different sizes of the objects in your picture. So obviously the ripples in the water are very small compared to the clouds in the sky, and so they use a different brush size for that, and maybe even a different brush style depending on what you're doing. So this is a very, very good example right here. That was done previous. Let's see here. This is interesting. This has got a different type of brush style to it. You can see it looks like trees in wood, and it's pretty much just that. There's no people or anything like that. Try to avoid like handmade or man-made objects in your pictures if you can. This has a little bit of a blur to it, so that means that they used the blur edge tool or the soft edge tool, soft edge brush. So you have to really watch that because you don't want it to be blurry in the end. You want it to look like a painting that you could look at in your living room. You don't want it to look like a blurry painting. This looks like it's done really well. So I can tell, I think, and you're gonna think I'm being picky, but I can tell right in this area here, this didn't get blurred, this didn't get blurred, or it didn't get impressionized. So you want to make sure that you get everything with your brush, your whole entire picture. This might look like a street far away, depending on what you're looking at. So you want to make sure that you can tell, but it's not blurry. It's all pixelated, so it looks good. This would be something maybe an impressionist painter would paint nowadays because it's such a landmark and it's outdoors. And it looks like they did a pretty good job at it, so this one would be good. This is, if you can tell, see all of a sudden you got a big picture and then you have a small picture? That's because the pictures they took off the internet to do this project, they took small pictures. Some of them might have even taken the thumbnails. So what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure that you are taking as big a picture as possible off the internet. Otherwise this project's going to be hard. All the project's going to be hard if you do it that way. So you click on a picture, you bring it in, and I will do that and show you how to do that. This one you can see they used a couple different brushes. So this brush is for one area, this brush was for another area, and then this brush was for another area. So it gives it a little bit different effect. So that's one of the, like I said, one of the projects is use the same brush over the whole thing. Second project is you use different brushes according to the size of the objects. And then the third project I'm going to show you some examples of in a little bit. So again, this looks a little blurry, so you want to avoid that. The further away you look at it, the clearer it looks, but when you're looking at it right on the screen, it looks blurry. So you got to watch that. This one I can see very easily places that didn't get done, and as you can see, here's a spot. I'll go a little closer so you can see. So here's a spot, here's a spot, here's a spot. Anywhere you see a place that didn't get impressionized. Here's the whole sky over here, here's a tree back here. So you want to make sure you're not doing that. I won't point that out anymore because I think you get the point. Blurry. This has got a little bit some blur and some clear, and it's kind of interesting because it gives it almost a 3D effect. So for that particular thing, it works. But in general, because the Impressionists didn't paint the blur like that, that'd be more of a modern type of technique, like a depth of field technique with photography. So you want to avoid it, but in this case, it just accidentally worked. But try for the most part to have it not be blurred and have it be like this. Okay, picture's a little small. There's a good sized picture, and they use several different brushes. As you can see, there's a different brush for the tree, and then there's a different brush for the bush down here, and there's a different brush for water and the waterfall. So you have some opportunities to explore some things here. This looks pretty good. This is too blurry. This is blurry. This is interesting. I like it. I don't know what they did, but it's not really blurry. It's not, it's probably a bigger brush. They might have done a different brush for each of the flowers as opposed to the background, but that works. This is an original picture. It's not done at all. That's way too blurry. You can't tell what it is. This looks good. You kind of get the point. That's a flower painting. This looks so blurry and just does not look right. So you gotta make sure yours is not blurry and that you've used all kinds of different brushes for this one or all the same brush for that one. This works really well. This is too blurry. This is okay. Too blurry. So you get the point. So now what I'm going to show you is a group of the third assignment that you can choose from. You can, once you finish, and you'll get extra credit points for doing this, So once you finish, if you think you have the ability to do this, then you can try it out. Find a picture of a museum wall, and it can be blank, doesn't have to have anything on it at all, or it can have a picture on it already, and then you're going to place your picture inside of there, or you're going to grab a frame from off the internet, and then you're going to put your picture on here, and then you're going to put your name over here. So I'll show you a few of these. And you can see this one is a little bit not in perspective. So when it's at an angle like this, there is something that I can show you how to do that. If you want to figure it out, you can figure it out. It's the perspective tool. But if you can't figure it out, then make sure you have a picture that's flat on, straightforward like this. So this is another one. If you don't know how to do, ask Raylyn. I don't know, unless she graduated. She might have graduated. Okay. So they took their picture. They put it inside of here, they found a frame on the internet, and they put it on the wall, and they put a shadow under here, which I will show you how to do. This one, they didn't put the shadow underneath, they put the shadow up here. So it's better to put the shadow underneath. Also be careful when you're selecting things right here. This person selected the frame, but yet they kind of messed up right here. So you can't do that. You gotta select really well and make sure you select before you cut everything out. So this picture is done really well. Also, they signed it here, which is awesome if you can do that. There's some more. So she got rid of this inside white part and did more of her picture, or made her picture bigger. So here's another picture somebody found. Now this picture they found, and what they did was, once they put the picture on here, she was in the way of the picture, so they had to erase the part of the picture that went on top of her head. So if you want to figure out how to do this, then all you do is you bring the picture in, and then wherever the person is being blocked by that picture, then you take the eraser tool and you erase the picture that's on top of the person that's looking at the artwork. You'll see some of them. So all these pictures are things that they found on the internet. And you see this one was smaller. So this one is the same as this. But look how big this one is, and this one's smaller. This one's kind of cool. I haven't seen much of that. Okay, now as again, you can see they found a gallery, and then put their picture in over here on top of the other picture that was there. But they had to erase wherever this person was. So you zoom in, and you take your eraser tool, and you erase where this person is. And in order to do that, I'll show you an easy way to do that as well. So it's kind of cool if you sign the thing like that. All right, how many more do we have? See the difference between no shadow and shadow. Now, you can always go on a read-only folder. This is too much of a shadow. It looks like it's way off the wall. You can control that, and that we'll deal with later as well. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, we're back to the beginning. Okay, so there is a Steps to Impressionism document that will be on ClassJump as well, where you found this, and it will show you that it'll say there's two types. That there's the one where you use the same brush for the whole thing, and then one where you use different brushes for the different areas. And then what it doesn't have on this document is doing the frame one. So I will make sure that those instructions get added to this. Okay, I'm opening up the program. I'm going to go to Edit. Organize is something that you would use if this were the program that you were using at your house and you want to organize all your pictures and all that kind of stuff. You can make calendars and cards and all kinds of things. But for this class, that's not what we're doing, but you can always explore it when you have finished your other projects. For the most part, when you finish a project, there'll be another project waiting for you. And then there's a portfolio that you're going to create with all your projects in it, and you're going to make slides for that portfolio. So within the next couple of weeks, you're going to learn how to make the slides, and then as soon as you're done with the project, you're going to create a slide for it that's going to go in your final portfolio. So you won't have extra time, so I would not mess around in this class. You will need to spend all your time on this class. Okay, I'm going to go find a picture on the internet and import it in. Okay, so what I did was I put in flowers and garden, or you could just go outdoor scene, and then you can go to images, and then I can look and say, okay, what one do I want to do? Now if there's one with a lot of detail in it, it's going to be hard to tell what it is, so you have to decide how much are you willing to putz with it. So I think I'm going to also put HDR. HDR gives you a lot more color. You'll see in a second. Oh, HDR dark. All right. So you'll notice there's a lot of color and that type of thing. So what I'm going to do for the demo, I'm going to do something a little simpler right here. So I click on the picture. Oops, click on the picture. It makes it really big. And then I can do a couple of different things. I can right click and say save image as, and then put it in your folder that you created that says original photos from the internet. Or I can go copy image, and I'll show you how to bring it in. I'm wondering if I want to do this one instead. This looks more fun. It's got clouds. Okay, so I'm going to go copy image. Now the problem with doing it this way is that when you get to your slide that you're trying to do, you won't have your original image. Didn't bring it in. So that's why I usually direct you to go save image as, put it in your folder, and then you have the original. Because what's going to happen, you're going to create a portfolio and you're going to put your original image, which would be this one, next to what you did with it. And so if you don't have your original, because you're just going copy paste from the internet, then that becomes an issue for you later. So now if I can just bring this in and go new image from clipboard. And that's how you bring a picture in from the internet. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is show you how to use the Impressionist tool, which is the brush tool right here. Click on the brush tool, and then you go Impressionist brush, which is right here. Now up here, as you know, these are all the tools, and then these are the shortcuts for those tools. So every single tool you click on, you're going to find different tools up here that it corresponds with or that you can use with it. So I'm going to use the Impressionist brush. And this is what I'm going to explore for my tools. So first of all, I have my brush sets right here. Now here's the default brushes, but then you have all of these brushes as well. And so if you want to explore some of those, now's your chance to do that. For now, I'm just going to stick with the default brushes. The blurry edge or soft edge brushes are the ones that have the blurriness, and then the hard edge ones are the ones that are very clean cut around. So for this, you do not use anything that is blurry edged. So I'm going to find a brush here, and this is about the right size. If you go a lot smaller, sometimes things look blurry that really aren't blurry. Here's some modes up here. I can go with dark and lighten, and I can change these different things. For now, I'm going to keep it at normal, and opacity, I'm going to keep it 100%. Now, if you click this, it will show you some of the different brush strokes that you can use. So right now it's on tight short. And it's 50 pixels, which is how big it is. If I made it 100 pixels, it would be twice as big. And then tolerance, we're not going to deal with that right now. Yeah, we're not going to deal with that right now. I'll explain that when I get back. So we're going to do tight short for right now, and we'll see what that looks like. So if I go and do tight short, this is what happens. If I'm going to tight short my whole thing, don't go like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Don't do that. Click undo. Do areas. So I'm going to do the clouds first. Make sure I get it all. Okay. Now I want to go and I want to do maybe the sun over here, but I think I'm going to, or the sunshine on the hill, but I think I'm going to make my size a little bit smaller, but I'm going to, this is the one that I'm going to use the same brush on all of it, but I can make different sizes for my brush. And that looks like a good size for this. As you can see, this isn't going to take very long to do. Now here's a blue part here. You go in circles. And I look at it and say, okay, did I get everything? And if I think I did, then I'm done. Okay, I look at it and I go, can I still tell what it is? And yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Save As, and I would save it with my last name first, D-E-A-S-E, and then I'm going to say Impressionism, or just go Impress, and then you can put something like 1 or 2 or whatever. And then you're going to save it into your U drive as a JPEG, not a PSD document. Okay, so then I would go save. So that's that one, and then this will show up, and you say, okay. So everything you're going to turn in, you're going to save as a JPEG. All right, the next one, I'm going to undo, see if it undoes all the way. Okay. This one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can use different brushes for different parts. And so if we go to, I'm going to go, instead of type short, I'm going to go type curl and see if I'm going to do the clouds and type curl. I don't really like that, but for demoing, we're going to do it. Yeah, I don't like that at all. So I'm going to go less pixels, less size, and then I'll do type short. So now you'll see what it looks like. So that's a little bit better. So if it's too big, then you can go to a smaller size. Or you can go and click the zoom tool and zoom in and work on it, and then you can see better what you're doing. The only problem is that you have to move things around. Let me get rid of this. Back to Impressionism tool. And doing my sky. Make sure you get the whole sky. Blah, 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 blah. Why isn't it doing it? Okay, there we go. Alright. And every time you go over it, you'll make your clouds look a little different. So if I leave it like this, like this, and all of a sudden the clouds are a little bit different. Okay. So, alright, so now my sky is done. Except for up there. And we'll go there and do that. Okay. So now I'm going to do my land. And I'm going to go up here and say, okay, what's going to be good for my land? And these curls, that's what I just used. So I don't know if that's going to be the best. Dab might be good, or the type short might be good. So let's see what dab looks like. So I'm going to dab this front area. That almost looks blurry. So even without using that blurry edge, I'm going to go a little thicker. See if that helps. Okay, so that's what dab looks like. That's too big, because it's just kind of blurring everything into one thing. So I'm going to do that maybe. So this is the blue rock. It's a cool place. I wonder where it is. And the blue rock over here. I'm just going to try to do all the blue rock. And then there's a blue mountain thing up here. Distance. Okay. Now I'm going to do something different with the green rock. I'm going to go maybe with, I did type short. Maybe I'll go type curl. No, type medium. Okay, so let's try this. Just a little bit different shapes. Go here, and a little bit over here. And go ahead down there. I guess that's the way it is. Okay. So the last one is in the distance. Now the distance things should be smaller. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to make it maybe 4. And then I'll do the same one in the distance. And then that's my scene. So now I'm going to save this one as save as Impress 2. That means my second one, or it could mean I used multiple brushes. Impress 1 could be that I used one brush. So we could do it that way. And make sure you save it as a JPEG. And go save it. I don't even know where I'm saving these. Okay. Now the final one, I have to go on the internet and I have to find a picture of a art gallery. So I'm going to go art gallery, wall. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I've got a few things. So you recognize this picture here maybe. And you can even, you could do a wall and just have it be one of the pictures. If you have a long picture, you could use this one. But remember, you have to use it straight on, unless you want to use the perspective tool. So there's this one right here. Interesting picture of Mona Lisa. Do not use a picture unless it's clear. Like this is not clearing up. It was clearing up, but it's not. So we gotta use a different picture. I'll look clear a little, but not big. And let's see, we got this one up here would be good. I'm trying to find something a little different. This here would be good. Maybe I will do one and then I'll show you how to erase the person's head. So maybe I'll do this guy. This has got watermarks on it, some future date. Oh, this is cool. I'll do this one. She's like really touching it or something. Okay, so it's not the biggest picture, but it'll do for this demo. So I'm going to bring this in, file, new, image from clipboard. All right. So now I'm going to take my picture and I'm going to put it in this gallery, but I also need to put a frame around it. So I have to go online and look up antique frames. All right, so you don't want to get one that's too thick because then it just looks really bad. So we'll find one that's a little thinner. You can cut out some of it, but here, and I will use maybe this one, a little bit plainer. But make sure it's clear. Okay, that's good, clear. And it already has everything erased except for that frame, so that's good. So I'll copy image, go back to your program, edit, paste, and you're going to see how big this is. So we're going to have to make this really, really small. Sometimes when you make it really small, it gets blurry, believe it or not. You'd think it would get clearer and clearer, but it doesn't. So here's what we're going to do. And I'm going to zoom in on this so you can actually see what I'm doing. All right. Now when you zoom in, then she doesn't look as clear, but at least I can show you the concept of what we're going to do. So I'm going to stretch this out, and I'm going to make it a little bigger than the other ones. And go like that. Now one of the tricks, it is a little bit blurry, but one of the tricks to making her show up like she's in front of it is if I were to take this layer right here, and instead of opacity being 100, I'm going to lower that opacity. Now you can start to see the girl, and so you're going to know where to erase. So I'm erasing on the picture, I'm not erasing the girl. So I'll take the eraser tool and not use a blurry edge. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to erase her, the picture where she is. And then I have to make it even smaller and do her hand. And her other, I don't know, it's her hand too. So now when I bring my opacity on this layer back up to 100, she's in front of it. I don't know if exactly that right, but it's close enough. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to put my picture inside of that gallery. And this picture is huge. So I might bring it down a little bit and then drag it in. And I'll drag it down to this picture here. So you can drag things in between your pictures. Or your, drag things up, drag things down. Alright, so now I'm going to put this in here. Now you notice that, again, she's in the middle of it. So something I'm going to do here, I'm also going to get rid of the black around the edges. I'm going to get rid of the black. So we're going to go to the magic wand, which is right here. This is really handy for getting rid of clumps of things. I have to go to the right layer. If something ever isn't working, you're probably not on the right layer. And then I want to get this black around the edge. And here. All right. And maybe up here. It's not really ideal. I'm going to do it a different way. It just doesn't look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rectangular marquee tool on this layer here, and I'm going to go around it, and then I'm going to go select the inverse. Now what this means is I'm selecting everything except for what I just selected. So I want to select everything that's brown, and I'm going to push delete, and that's going to go away. So it's select the inverse of what I just selected. So I actually selected the frame, but I wanted to get rid of the stuff around the frame. So that's why you select the inverse. All right, now I'm going to bring my picture in here, and what I'm going to actually do is put my frame on top of the picture. See how that went? But I still have to erase her head, or the picture above her head a little bit. So I'm going to go on this layer here, go to my eraser tool, and I'm going to erase the picture where her head is. Okay? Now, the last thing I'm going to do, that's the picture frame on the wall behind. Okay. And that's the picture frame on here. So let's make this picture a little bit bigger, and then those things will be done. I have to make sure I make it bigger than the frame that was behind it. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this frame layer and I'm going to put a little bit of a drop shadow on it. And up here, you're going to see that there's, right here is called the, if you hold it, hover it above, layer styles. And usually you'll see it on bevels. 2 down is drop shadows. And so just kind of experiment and see. Now it's really a drop shadow that's very like harsh. So let's try maybe this one. So if you see, whenever you use these things, you'll see this little FX down here. Effects means indicates that you have something on there. You can actually click on that and a window comes up and you can change like where the shadow is. You can change how big the shadow is. You can change the distance of the shadow. You can change the opacity of the shadow. So there's all kinds of stuff here. And we just want to make it look a little bit 3D, so that's why we're just going to pop a little bit of a shadow on there. Now, if you wanted to write your name on this, you go to the pencil tool, which is somewhere here. I think in here. Nope. Here. Yeah. Pencil tool. And whatever colors are on here is what colors it's going to do it. And we're going to zoom in really close. And I'm going to have, like, oops, didn't want to do that. I'm going to have my pencil tool be 1 pixel. Apparently that's what it is. So I'm going to go C. Auto erase. I'm on opacity, normal, 1 pixel. Why I want that? Oh, I'm writing behind it. Okay, I was on the wrong layer. So whenever something isn't happening, make sure you're on the right layer. So I'm going to go C, D, E, A, wow, what a mess. Okay, didn't even get my name there. So I'll just undo, oops, and I'm gonna go blah, 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 wait. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's my signature. So then what you're gonna do is save this. And file, save as. Again, you're going to put your last name, impress, and then 3 if you decide to do all 3. And then make sure you save it as a JPEG. Now, if you want to save it as a Photoshop document, that's advised because say, for instance, I say, okay, you did a great job, but oops, you forgot to do something here. If you saved it as a JPEG, you can't go back and fix it. It'll be really hard to go back and fix it. If you save it as a PSD, then your layers are all set to go and you can fix things. So always save everything as a PSD and put it in your PSD in progress folder. But then when you are finished and you go to turn it in, you're going to save it as a JPEG. And then that's going to be where you're going to turn that one in for grading. Okay, now the last thing I want to show you is if you wanted to do something at an angle, we're going to go back to gallery. And we're going to find a picture that's at an angle. So, gallery. This is like way different. Museum gallery. That's better. Okay. So now we're going to find one at an angle if you want to be even more challenged. And it's another tool. It's pretty cool to learn how to use. Everyone's going to have to learn it eventually. But if you're at the point right now, it's like, okay, I'm done with this. What else can I do? I want to learn something. Then this is what you're going to do. Here. It's big enough. So copy. And file, new image from clipboard. Remember again, you should be saving all these original pictures in order to put them in your slide that you're going to create. Okay, I'm going to grab this picture and I'm going to put it up here. And you'll see if I go to try to put it in here, it's just not going to look good. And as those earlier ones that I showed you, that's what they did, and they didn't do this properly. So it's really kind of easy. I'll show you how to do it. So what I'm going to do is click on this layer, and I'm going to go up to layer, enhance, oh my gosh, I can't remember, transform. So you go image, transform, and then you go perspective or free transform. So we're going to go perspective, and all you have to do is grab these anchor, no, this isn't the one I want to do, I don't think. I think I want to do the free transform, no, distort, click on distort. So all I have to do is click and go into the corner there, go to the corner here, go to the corner right here, and go to this corner right there. Now it looks like it's totally in perspective. So again, that was image, transform, distort. You'll be using perspective and skew and that kind of stuff later. You can practice with it. Perspective, what that does is it, something around there, it's there. I'll go undo, and perspective is image, transform, perspective. That's when you pull these, it makes it look like it's coming up towards you. Like you're walking a dock on a dock up there. So, but that's not the one you'll use on this one. You're going to use distort. Image, transform, distort. Drag that to there. Here, let's do a different one. We'll do this one here. Drag that to there. Put this here. Squish this all the way up there. Squish this in here. And now you have impressions being squished. Okay, so I hope that you understand these pictures, these videos, and are able to do the project, remember there's 3 choices. You can do all 3 for the extra credit, but you have to pick 2 of the 3 to do. One is all one brush, one is brushes, sizes according to how big objects they are in your picture, and maybe the texture. Like if you have a tree, it's going to be a different texture than if you have the sky or a rock. So you pick those, and if the texture doesn't look good, then you make it smaller, or you change your paint or your paintbrush style. And then this would be the third one, doing a museum gallery and putting your picture in it and then signing your picture or making a little tag with your name on it. So if you have any questions, you can email me at christies@gmail.com. This shouldn't take you more than a day, maybe 2. And then we'll have some new stuff on the internet. All right, be good.